welcome to my lesson today about conditionals. It's teacher Mariam Buqaidi. Enjoy your lesson. Conditionals have different types: type 0, type 1, type 2, and type 3. We are concerned today with type 0, type 1 for first year baccalaureate, and type 2, type 3 for second year baccalaureate, and type mixed. It's not our concern today, but you can take a look at it. Let's start now by conditional type 0. Okay, let's start by looking at this piece of ice and fire. Now the result. So this sentence comes like this. If you heat ice, it melts. So as you can see, this sentence, if you heat ice, is the cause. And this sentence, it melts, it's the another sentence that looks like it. This is boiling water. If you boil it, if you put it on fire for 100 degrees, what happens? It evaporates. This is the condition, water and fire. The result is the evaporation. Let's read the sentence. If you boil water, it evaporates. The cause or the condition and the result. Now this picture. If you jump in a lake, what? You get wet. Again, this is the cause and this is the result. As you can see, we have a sentence starting with if plus a verb, then comma, then another verb. So if you jump in a lake, you get wet. Let's explain more. So the sentence starts with if plus a verb in the present and a comma, you get the result as a verb in the present. This is conditional type. Okay, so this is the rule. If plus condition plus result. If plus simple present plus simple present. Conditional type 0 is composed of if plus simple present plus simple present. The use of conditional type 0 is when we talk about general truth, about something that is a fact, that is the truth. It's like a real world truth when we talk about habits and when we talk about scientific facts, like if you boil water, it evaporates, right? 1 plus 1 equals 2. That's a conditional type 0. Here are some examples. Let's read some of them. If it rains, the ground gets wet. So you have if plus rains, the verb in the present. The ground gets wet. Gets, the verb to get in the present. If I cry, I have a headache. If you mix yellow and blue, you get green. If you are tired, you go to bed early. As you can see, all these sentences are composed of if plus condition in the present plus results in the present. It's practice time. Can you make the 0 conditionals by putting the verbs in the correct tense? Complete the conditional sentences type 0 by putting the verbs in the correct form. We have if plus a verb, you have to put it in the present, comma, subject, and a verb that should be done in the present. Okay? So, if I wake up late, I am late for work. If my husband cooks, he burns the food. If Julie doesn't wear a hat, she gets a sunstroke. If children do not eat well or don't eat well, they aren't healthy. If you mix water and electricity, you get a shock. Let's move to Conditional type 1. If I train, I will win. So the condition is training, the result is winning. So the results will happen in the future. That's why we use the future tense. If plus verb in the present, comma, will win, that's the verb in the future. If I study hard, I will succeed. If plus verb in the present, will succeed is the verb in the future. If it rains, I will open my umbrella. So here we have the rule. If plus verb in the present, plus comma, plus verb in the future. This is 1. Now let's see if plus condition plus result. So if plus present plus future. The uses of conditional type 1 is possibility in the future. If you do something now, you will get a result in the future. Real situation in the future. Some examples. If you work hard, you will win the prize. If work present will win future. If you listen to me, you will understand what I mean. If you lend him some money, he may not give it back to you. If she doesn't leave the house, everything will be bad. If you don't go to school, you will stay at home all day. Okay, these are examples of conditional type 1, and as you can notice, they are all composed of if plus present plus practice time. Put the verbs in the correct tense. Complete the conditional sentences type 1 by putting the verbs into the correct form. If you, the verb send, this letter now, she, the verb receive, it tomorrow. You have the time indicator tomorrow. So you may guess which tense we will use. So if you send this letter now, she will receive it tomorrow. If I do this test, I will improve my English. Perfect. If I find your ring, I will give it to you. Peggy will go shopping if she has time in the afternoon. You can notice this sentence doesn't start with if, so it starts with the result. When we put if in the middle, we don't make the comma in the middle of the sentence. I hope this is clear. We'll see another example. Simon go to London next week if he gets a cheap flight. So if plus present, the result will be in the future. So Simon will go to London next week if he gets a cheap flight. Now we're done with conditional type 1. Let's have a quick review over conditional type 0 and conditional type 1. Conditional type 0 is composed of a condition plus result. It is used in the simple present and simple present. So if you stand in the rain, you get wet. If you heat ice, it melts. We use it for facts which are generally true on scientific facts. The condition always has the same result. Now conditional type 1, it is composed of if plus simple present plus will plus verb. Will or won't, affirmative or negative form, means we use the future. If it rains, we will cancel the trip. If you study, you will pass the exam. It talks about possible situation in the future, predicting a likely result in the future, if the condition happens. We are done with conditional type 0 and conditional type 1. First year baccalaureate, you can leave now, or you may want to stay if you want to learn more. Second year baccalaureate, pay attention with me. Type 0 and type 3 are your concern today. So let's start with conditional type 2. Look at this picture. She is imagining, if I had a driver's license, I would drive a car. If plus had, it means the past. Would drive, would plus the verb in the infinitive. If I had a cat, I would feed it. If plus past, would plus verb in the infinitive form. Other sentences. If I won $1 million, I would buy a new car. If I studied hard, I would pass the exam. If I were the president, I would lower taxes. So these sentences are composed of if clause, condition, plus main clause, result. So condition is if I won $1 million, the result is I would buy a new car. Now, conditional type 2 is composed of if plus condition plus result. The difference between the first ones and this one is that it is composed of if plus the verb in the past plus would and the verb in the infinitive form. We use conditional type 2 for unreal possibility, for hypothetical possibility. It can't be fulfilled because we're talking about something now, so we use an unreal past. For example, if she knew the answer, she would win the prize. Now, she doesn't have the prize because she didn't answer. So, if she knew the answer before, she would win the prize, but she doesn't know the answer. If he had enough experience for the job, the boss could hire him, but he doesn't. If I had your phone number, I would call you. Now, can I call you now? No, because I don't have your phone number. So it is about unreal possibility. It's impossible that I have your phone now. That is why I cannot call you. Practice time. Can you make the conditional type 2 by putting the verbs in the correct tense? If we have a yacht, we sail the 7 seas. So, we said that conditional type 2 is composed of if plus past plus would verb in the infinitive. So, if we had a yacht, we would sail the 7 seas. If he had more time, he would learn karate. If they told their father, he would be very hungry. I'm hungry. She Okay, now we don't start with if, we put it in the middle, so you can notice the lack of the comma here. So we're going to start with would plus infinitive here. She would spend a year in the USA if it were easier to get a green card. We could say if it was, but since it's unreal past, we use it in the unreal form if it were easier to get a green card. We would help you if we knew how. Now done with conditional type 2 and moving to conditional type 3. Hi. Oh, look at this sad student. He got an F, means he failed the test. So what does he say? If I had worked hard, I would have succeeded. As you can notice, this sentence is composed of if plus had worked. This is the past perfect. Plus would have succeeded. Would have plus past participle of the verb succeed. It means he is regretting something in the past. He can't go back to the past and fix it. And he is regretting. He says, if I had done something, something would have happened. If he had been careful, he wouldn't have had an accident. He had had an accident because he hadn't been careful. So if plus had been plus wouldn't have had. If I got a gold medal, I would have been happy. If the weather had been good, we would have gone water skiing. If you hadn't lied, you wouldn't have ended in prison. So, conditional type 3 is composed of if. So, conditional type 3 is composed of if clause, the condition, plus main clause, the result, and the if clause is composed of if plus past perfect. The result clause is composed of would have plus past participle. We use conditional type 3 for imagining a different past. It is already the past, what's done is done, but we're imagining it in another scenario. So we put the imaginary sentence. Imaginary situation that did not happen. Examples of conditional type 3. If he had talked to me, I would have listened to him. But he didn't talk to me, so I didn't listen to him. So when you're talking about the past, you're imagining a scenario. So you say, if he had talked to me, I would have listened to him if things were different. If it had rained last weekend, we would have stayed at home. But it didn't rain last weekend, so we didn't stay at home last weekend. If she had saved enough money, we would have bought a new bicycle. But she didn't save enough money, so we can't buy a new bicycle and we couldn't buy a new bicycle. I hope you have understood conditionals so far. Of course, you need more practice. Now let's have some practice of condition type 3.
Practice time!
Now, can you make the conditional type 3 by putting the verbs in the correct tense? If you study for the test, you pass it. But it's conditional type 3, so we use study in the past perfect. So if you had studied for the test, you would have passed it. If you had asked me, I would have helped you. If we had gone to the cinema, we would have seen my friend Jacob. If you had spoken English, she would have understood. If they had listened to me, we would have been home earlier. Now let's have a quick review of all these types we have discussed. Conditional type 0 is composed of if present, present. It is about general truth or scientific fact. The condition always has the same result. First conditional. If it rains, we will cancel the trip. If plus present plus will or won't plus verb. A possible situation in the future. It's predicting a likely result in the future. If the condition happens, something will happen in the future. Conditional type 2. If I won the lottery, I would travel a lot. If they sold their house, they would be rich. Now I can't sell the house, so I am not rich. It is composed of if plus past simple plus would plus verb. It is a hypothetical or unlikely situation. It is unreal or improbable situation now or in the future. Conditional type 3. Example, if you had studied, you would have passed the exam. If I hadn't been sick, I would have gone to your party. It is composed of if plus past perfect plus would have plus past participle of a verb. The person is imagining a different past, is imagining a situation that did not happen in the past. All these are the 4 types of conditionals that you should know for your baccalaureate exam. Now let's do this exercise on conditional sentences. You have three types of conditionals here. You're going to detect which is type 1, which is type 2, or type 3. If he had dropped the vase, it would have broken. So here we have if plus had dropped. It is the past perfect. So of course it is type 3. If you have to do the washing up, I will help you. Which conditional it is? I will help you. So it's present plus future, conditional type 1. If I had a hammer, I would hammer in the morning. That's a song. So which conditional is it? If I had, that's if plus past, plus would, verb in the infinitive. That's type 2. I wouldn't run away if I saw a spider. So I wouldn't run away if I saw a spider. If plus past, plus would, and infinitive. That's type 2. Would have given you a lift if you hadn't had your bike with you. So if you hadn't had, that's if plus past perfect. That's type 3. If you had listened to me, the accident wouldn't have happened. That's type 3. If we don't get tickets for the concert, we'll stay at home. If you don't, we will. That's type 1. These are some summaries I took from the internet, and I think they are very helpful in understanding conditional types. But first, second, third, and zero conditionals, zero, first, second, and third. You can print them or you can copy them in your copybooks so you can remember them. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope you have learned from my lesson and I hope to see you soon, inshallah.